Hello, good evening, and welcome back to Poem Praise 2. I'm back again, and we're going to keep it moving in the extraordinary African Americans. Next in line is Reconstruction. The time period is 1865 to 1877. And let's see what it's talking about regarding Reconstruction. Now, on April the 9th, 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant at the, um, it says, Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. The Civil War was over. Although slavery had been abolished, resistance to African American freedom remained. 4 million former slaves, most without skills, land, or money. I'm going to just let that resonate and sink in because I'm thinking to myself, most without skills, land, or money. Now, I understand the land or the money, but skills, weren't they doing a lot of work? Thinking to myself, that was skills, when you out in the yard and you like tending to the cotton. Isn't that landscaping? Because you sure enough help with a harvest. But okay, I'm gonna keep it moving right along because I'm reading what's in the book. All right, gonna keep it moving now. 4 million former slaves, most without skills, land, or money, looked to the U.S. government for help and protection. Anticipating this, Congress had, in March 1865, set up the Freedmen's Bureau under the administration of the U.S. Army. In the face of tremendous opposition from defeated Confederate supporters, the Freedmen's Bureau attempted to find homes and jobs for former slaves, protect them from unfair labor contracts, and provide them with sufficient food and medicine. The Bureau also established 40 hospitals and more than 4,000 schools, in which approximately 250,000 African American students eventually enrolled. Now, Southern state legislature began to pass a series of laws known as the Black Codes, which limited African American rights. The codes prevented African Americans from testifying in court, getting jobs, and enjoying public areas. To counter this discrimination, Pennsylvania Congressman Thaddeus Stevens and Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner got Congress to pass the Reconstruction Act of 1867. It placed 10 southern states under military law and established universal male suffrage. The 14th and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution reinforced the new civil rights legislation. The 14th Amendment states that anyone born in the United States is a citizen and cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The 15th Amendment guarantees African Americans the right to vote. The 13th Amendment, which outlaws slavery, had already been passed. Now, as a condition for readmission to the Union, all Confederate states had to adopt new state constitutions. Thanks to African American legislators such as Blanche K. Bruce and Richard Kane. These new constitutions not only expanded voting rights to African American men, but also provided free public education and abolished such common criminal punishments as whipping and branding. Now again, former slave owners fought back the Klu Klux Klan. A white supremacist organization sprang up in Tennessee and soon spread throughout the South. Its members beat and murdered thousands of African Americans who attempted to exercise their civil rights, particularly the right to vote. As a result, U.S. soldiers were stationed at voting booths to protect black voters. In 1877, however, President Rutherford B. Hayes ended the Reconstruction program and withdrew federal troops from the South. Klu Klux Klan terrorism made many African Americans afraid to vote. Blacks were pushed out of local and state government, and white legislatures passed Jim Crow. So now it's about to get talking about the Jim Crow laws. So Jim Crow laws that established segregation throughout the South. This situation continued until the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s restored voting rights and ended many types of segregation. And this certainly is the end for the Reconstruction in this extraordinary African Americans. So next, because we're certainly going to keep it moving, I'll give you just a preview of who's coming up next. You certainly like what you're listening to. Certainly please subscribe. Next in line for the extraordinary African Americans is P.B.S. Pinchback, a congressman, time period 1837 to 1921. So, in a minute. All right. Bye-bye. Later. All right, I'll holler at you a little later. Just a moment. For sure.